So tonight, I think the first thing we should do, if you don't mind typing into the chat and Matt can kind of relay this information back to us, tell us where you are in your business development process. Are you launching a business? Are you in the middle of a business? And what is your business? Like, what are you working on? And I'll start talking and then I'll try to adjust my comments to meet some of your needs. And then if you have questions, just ask them in the chat and Matt will relay them out to us and we'll take it from there. So today we're talking about starting a business, tools for marketing success, but you should know also that marketing, like a lot of things, is really a continuum. And so even if you're not beginning, if you already have a business, a lot of these tactics and tools that we're talking about today would be useful to consider for the business that you have now. So feel free, and Matt knows, just interrupt me if there's a comment or something that we can address. That would be fantastic. Let's begin. So when you're launching, and even after you've launched, it's really important to have a business plan. And your business plan is its own little ecosystem of everything that you want to summarize that outlines the who, what, when, and where, plus data supporting your effort. And what that really means is you define what your business is, in what way, and that plan, of course, can be modified as you go because things do change. So the very first thing I think you should really give thought to is a business plan, because I know a lot of businesses get launched and we sometimes don't even realize we're launching them. I think of a couple of people I know who are phenomenal bakers who were baking really for fun and with their family. One thing leads to another. Now they're baking for income. And the next thing you know, now they're baking for scale. And in one instance, I know somebody sold their business to a large commercial bakery. Uh, so you may not have the business plan right away because you may be doing something that's sort of a passion project. And because of that, you build your plan as you go, which is not unusual and something that you should do wherever you are in your business cycle. So think about that as you go. Another thing to think about is your business name. And for a lot of businesses that have unique names, you should really register it. However, before you do, get guidance from an intellectual property attorney. And an intellectual property attorney is an attorney that works on not just registering the names of businesses, but also can help you with any kind of patents you might need if you have designs or products that you've created that are distinct and different from anything else. And they will give you great guidance on what is possible and what's protectable. And in some cases, your business needs to be very protected if you're using special names, special product names, special products. So always think about that. And as part of your business plan, you want to think about your target audiences because that really maps to your marketing. And your target audiences are really, think about it as almost defining the characters of the people that you would most like to serve in your business. And that would be demographic information, psychographic information, buying behavior, intention, what people's needs and wishes are, and define as many types of people that would be your logical stakeholder, shopper, client, or person that you partner with for your business. Now, I see things in the chat. Is there anything we should address off the bat, Matt?
Yeah, so this is just answering your initial question. It
Hmm.
looks like one of our participants does not have a business at this time,
Okay.
but I'm guessing is maybe looking to
Hmm.
start one. And
Hmm.
then we have one who is just launching their business as
Okay,
well. So
great.
kind of beginning
Hmm.
stages of the
Hmm.
business
Okay.
process. Yeah.
Okay. Great. So that's great. Thinking about a business is really fun, but it's vast. So I think, like a lot of things in life, you want to kind of get specific and think about what is it you're exactly trying to do in terms of launching a business. And if you've just launched a business, now is the right time to think a lot about the things that we're going to talk about next. And so we'll keep going here and feel free to interrupt with comments, questions, or thoughts. SWOT analysis, that's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. You can build this into your business plan. A SWOT analysis is really important so that you, as the business owner, really have a very clear sense of the strengths of the business that you're building, like what makes it really fantastic. What are the weaknesses? What are the challenges? What are the areas that you don't quite have in place yet that you need to, or in your business community where you see there's an issue that will be a little bit something you have to address? If you identify those things now, you can address them as you go and sort of map all of your efforts to these strengths, to these weaknesses, opportunities. What are areas that you have yet to harness that you think you should, and threats? Where are external circumstances that might impact your business, and what are they? And defining those and continuing to define these, because the business community keeps changing and the ecosystem that you're working in keeps evolving. It's important to keep looking at this. So please contemplate as you do all of this that it's dynamic. Once it's done, it might be done, but it probably isn't. You should think of everything as subject to renovation, uh, because you never know how things are evolving, and so you need to kind of monitor that as you're growing your business. Value propositions. Why does your business matter? So that would mean creating a mission statement, a vision statement, a value statement. What is the mission of your business? What is the vision of your business? What are the values that you stand for as a business? And a lot of businesses do this, and then they map their marketing to those thoughts. And I think it does strengthen not just the brand, but the product proposition or the selling proposition, which I think is so valuable as you define your business. So give some thought to that. Brand identity and brand standards. This is really important. Uh, when you create a brand, it should be distinct and interesting, and feel like something you really want for your business. And brand standards are very specific things a designer will create for you, which would mean really high res and low res, because you need that sometimes for digital, versions of your logo, any brand mark, any other marks or associated marks, defined typefaces, defined color palette, defined assets for social media, like your profile image, your cover images, and so forth, and any other graphic elements that you're going to routinely use to promote your business. And what's really important about having brand standards is as you grow, you're going to need to send someone information to help you design an ad, to help you make promotional items, to help you do business one way or the other. And you want to make sure that your brand is always represented correctly with respect to these very core elements that if we look at an example like McDonald's, you know they're red and they're yellow, you know the M shape, you kind of know a lot of elements that if you saw no words associated with those marks, you would still know the brand because it's so strong. That's just a kind of obvious example, but there's so many we could look at. Now, I see comments in the chat. Should we address those now?
Sure. I threw an additional comment into the chat
Okay,
just to kind of help gear
sure.
the
Uh-huh.
conversation. I asked what
Hmm.
industry these
Hmm.
businesses were looking to enter,
Hmm.
and someone shared that they're looking to open a like a virtual tax service type
Oh, great.
industry business.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay, so that's great. So a virtual tax business is probably a little bit seasonal, but could be year round too. And there you're really looking to convey trust, skill, subject matter expertise, and so on. So thinking a lot, if you're virtual, you probably need a pretty big online presence in terms of social media, email marketing, a website, and so on. We can talk a little more about that as we go. One of the things you're going to need to think about as you're starting is your URL or URLs. One of the things to think about too is as you start to search for a URL for your business, be prepared to buy it right away, because if you search and you look for something that's distinct and then you come back 2 weeks later, like, yeah, I think I'm ready to buy it now, someone may have already bought it, or the platform may have gone, aha, there's interest in these words. So I think it's really important to get a URL that makes sense for your business, and possibly more than one if you think your business is the kind that's going to be in a very competitive space where the name may someone, I think of like locksmiths, the AAA locksmith, the A Aardvark locksmith, and so on. Now that's a vestige of the yellow pages when getting to the top of the listing when people were urgent was important because you would open the yellow pages and you would look, I need a locksmith, and you wouldn't search in the M's or the Q's. You would search the first on the list is who you'd call because odds are you were locked out of something you needed to get back into. So consider that. Have a good creative standing by. And by that, I mean good creative partners. So, creative partners for business would be logically a designer, a communication designer, a printer, someone who can manufacture print collateral for you, a promotional specialist, an SEO partner, a search engine optimization partner. That's digital marketing. All of these kinds of people are specialty. So think about, I try to use analogies. Think about like if you bought a home and you wanted to gut and renovate it, you might have a general contractor. That would be somebody like me who has all of the relationships and can help you renovate the home to your taste. But if you were going to do it in pieces because you either want to save money or you're going to do some of it yourself or you know some things that you want to do, you'd want to make sure you have a great painter. But the painter isn't necessarily a good electrician, and the electrician isn't necessarily a good stonemason. And so you definitely want to have good creative people standing by who are professionals and fit into your budget scheme. It takes time to find these relationships. You may have some, but not all. Getting into a good networking group to find these kinds of people for your business is important too. And it doesn't matter whether you're doing online tax prep or you're just thinking about a business or you're at the start of launching a business. At all times, it's good to try to develop those professional relationships for your business. And you are going to need a website. And I recommend building it on a strong platform like WordPress because WordPress is highly optimized for search results. It's pretty easy to use, but I do recommend, unless you're really design oriented and tech oriented, have somebody else build your website and you give guidance to what it is that you would like. And the reason I say that is it's really hard as a small business owner to do everything. And there is a little tendency for people to try to do everything. And that can be a problem because we don't know what we don't know. But if we hire experts, well, they know a lot and they can really help us and they can learn sort of what our goals are and kind of meet that. So your website, when you build it, would probably be one of two forms. One is it might be what we call a brochure website, and the other might be more dynamic and have an inventory of some kind. A brochure website is one that's fairly static. You can change information as you go, but it doesn't really have what we call like a shopping cart functionality or some kind of transactional portal through which people are buying or paying for things. So there is a difference in terms of the overall construction of the website, but the quality of the website should be as high as possible, whatever you build. And if you have an inventory type website, one where there's a shopping cart or a portal through which people are paying for events, for t-shirts, for gym shoes, for tickets for programs, you want to make sure that that shopping cart works properly too and is secure. And I have designers that I work with who are very strong in one or the other type of website. And if you ever need it, I can always make recommendations if it's helpful to you along the way. But you may already have resources that you want to use. And when you make a website, just realize too, like everything else, it's dynamic. So the website that you build, it may be just the way it is for quite some time, but you may also find you want to make modifications to it along the way or need to. You might move your address, you might add products or services. It's okay to redefine what's in your website as you go. Some people are in their website all the time, some do an annual update. It sort of depends on the kind of information that you're sharing with people. Do we have questions, comments?
We do have a question, and this might
Sure.
be good if there's
Mhm.
time at the end. They're asking to see if they can see your website that was done on WordPress.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Why don't we do that toward the end? I'll make a note to take a look at that. So we'll go through a lot of this material and then we can look at that if you want. And if you want to preview it in advance, it's called goodeggconcepts.com, but we can look at that in a little bit. Um, let's see. Okay. Content strategy. Okay. Content strategy sounds sort of vast, and it could be, so you've got to tie it down. Content strategy is what do you want to say and to whom? And that would mean core messages, boilerplate text. Boilerplate text is text that you routinely use to explain something that you offer, so that you don't have to rewrite it over and over again if you don't want to. Expanded text, which might include images and words and possibly video. So your content strategy might include greater portions of text. And probably these days that's very important because, and we'll talk about this, answer engine optimization is the new variation of search engine optimization. So we'll take a moment for this. Search engine optimization is when we've spent some years really working hard to make sure the search engines can find us. And what that means is if you go to Google and you type in pizzeria near me, wherever you are, what comes up may or may not actually be near you. And if you find, ironically, that some of the pizzerias near me that you type into Google are not near you, it's because they've built into their website and their online information something that says they're near to you using geography or keywords, but they may not be close. So you have to sort of be a little careful and judgy and try to figure out where is the pizzeria near me. And that's just, I'm giving you a very general example here. But that's the search engine optimization. Answer engine optimization is a little different because we're heading into a time that we call zero click marketing, zero click search. And what that means is a person will go to Google, they'll go into whatever chat GPT or Claude or any of these platforms and search for something or try to understand something. And the artificial information, the AI summary, is drawing information from wherever it can find on the internet. So our expanded text feeds that AI summary. So the more authentic our writing and the more specific our writing on our website, on our social media platforms, on any directories that we're part of as a business, the better the chances are the AI summary will be logical and make sense. And you can play with that a little bit as you grow your business to see if your business is offering the right kinds of very specific information that the AI summaries are understanding and serving up your business as a logical choice to people in a zero click space. And zero click means people never get past the summary. They never go looking at other links. So we used to go to Google and we would get page one search results, page two search results, page three search results. And you'd wade through those and determine what it is you were looking for and try to find the right answer. Now it's all summarized for you. Mostly people don't get beyond that. They don't go looking at all the other websites. So the way consumers and searchers are getting their information is different than it was. So our expanded text direction nourishes that. This also gives you options for ad hoc content. Ad hoc meaning stuff in the moment. So if a very famous person walks into your shoe store and you want to take a photo with them, well, you didn't expect that they were going to stop in, but the photo would be really great and you didn't plan for it. But what a great image to share if they're willing to take a photo with you to say, we love this shoe store. They have the best gym shoes in America and I love shopping here. And you take a picture of you as the business owner with this famous person and you post it onto your social media with their permission, and tag them and so on, tag the brand of shoes they're buying when it's appropriate. This ad hoc content is valuable because it's what we can't imagine and it happens all the time. And it's really, your stakeholders will enjoy it very much. And I think that's something that people always look at, which is the kind of true and real moments that people are sharing on their digital platform. So for the tax prep business, you may want to share things that make your business very human, even if you're virtual, because it's real humans who are doing the work. And if you can convey that somehow through planned content and messaging, but also through ad hoc, I think you're going to get your audience is going to really enjoy that a lot. I also want to make a note that blogs, social channels, email, and video are all great places to develop deeper, very specific, authentic, and well produced, but that doesn't necessarily mean expensive content to share with your audiences. obviously can't do everything. So you may have to be a little choosy as you're getting started if you're just launching a business or you're thinking about a business because resources are usually limited. But any of those would be really great places to define um, content strategy for. And every business is kind of different and it has a different voice and personality. And you, as the business owner, will have a comfort level with possibly some modes more than other modes. And so I think have the grace to feel good about that and choose the ones that you feel you're most comfortable with and use those first. And then I would challenge you to try others um, to kind of greater enhance your marketing as you go and get more and more sophisticated in your approach. Do we have questions, comments?
We are
I was
all good right now.
Okay, great. All right, AI strategy. This is moving fast and it's essential. So AI strategy, I've sort of touched on this. Um, it's going to work a couple of ways. So one way is AI offers a lot of fabulous tools for the small business owner. And our job as marketers and marketeers is to figure out what tools are useful and how we might use them to support our work versus just doing our work. I've been playing with AI for a while now and I'm enjoying it a lot. And I find for the work that I do, it's a great tool for brainstorming or expanding ideas around what I'm already working on. So, for example, if I'm trying to come up with 10 interesting headlines for a specific piece of social media content, I might ask ChatGPT to help me refine this basic sentence or two if it feels too plain, and I'll explain what it's for in my description. And it might give me four or five options and say, what do you think? Do you like these? And then I might just take them and play with them some more and shift and adjust the language to meet the need that I have for that particular piece of social media. You could use it for graphics. You could use it for photos. But I do want to strongly urge you not to just take what it puts out and use that as your final version because I find there is a certain amount of slop that comes out with AI. Not just mistakes, but there's just sometimes a little oddness about it. It's either in the form of the writing, or the style, or the tone, or the verbiage, or the look and feel of the imagery that's being created. I would use it almost like a sparring partner for your creative work and not as your final output. I think that's important. So that's as a tool. But the other way is think about your consumer. You may be B2B, you may be B2C, business to business or business to consumer. And in any case, people go online and they do a lot of things. They try to research what's the best pizzeria or donut shop near me. They try to figure out, is this the right service provider for me? Is this the right auto mechanic, the right lawyer, the right house cleaners, the right gardeners for me? And if the information they're receiving is unclear, incomplete, or just not accurate, they will make a wrong choice. But if they see really strong, helpful, authentic content that's reinforced again and again in whatever that they're looking at, they're probably going to take a greater chance and come toward you. So it's both a due diligence opportunity and it's also a researching opportunity for you as a business owner. Questions, comments?
Yes, there is one
Mhm.
about what is your preferred AI platform, in particular, if you use Claude or Copilot or which
Yeah.
one you prefer.
I don't really have a preferred one. I think it's so vast right now that I think I would encourage everyone to try a few and see what results you get. I seem to tend to end up using Google's AI, and I also seem to tend to use ChatGPT's AI. Not for any particular reason. Maybe it's just convenience, or maybe it's just because I've grown familiar with them, but I find that they've both been very good partners in terms of creative. Copilot, I know is excellent. Claude, I believe, is excellent. And I think they all merit a bit of investigation. And I don't really feel like I could say, there's one that's better than another. More questions, comments? Are we good?
We are good at this point. Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk for a few minutes about social channels. Social channels are almost utilities at this point. And so, 20, 30 years ago, we had the yellow pages and we had the white pages, and they would get delivered once a year. And I think there's that funny scene in The Jerk, now I'm dating myself, this ancient movie where, Steve Martin's character gets all excited because the new phone books are here, the new phone books are here. And he finds his name in the phone book and he feels famous. Um, we've moved beyond that, sort of, but not exactly. And as business owners, we have to show up in all the places where we have to show up. Now, it's really hard to do everything, so I would counsel you to prioritize your social channels, starting with one and then another and another. And I've said this in other presentations, and I'll say it now. They're each a little bit like a foreign language in a way. So if you wanted to learn French, you might study French for some time until you felt conversational. But then if you wanted to learn Spanish, you might move and do that. And then you'll be speaking French to French speaking people and Spanish to Spanish speaking people. And you'll keep adding languages if that's your goal. And I think social media is similar. Um, but you need to kind of know a little bit of the nuance between each platform to sort of figure out what you need to do. So take it from the top. Google Business Profile is the most important piece of digital real estate right now. You go on Google, and the majority of searches are still happening on Google, although that could shift, and we may end up having to talk about things differently with ChatGPT and Claude. But for now, the Google Business Profile is that summary piece you find when you go searching for something, and it looks like a big rectangle. It offers reviews that consumers have provided, opening and closing information, telephone number, a 750 character statement about the business, and so on. And if it's incorrectly completed, the challenge is you, as I have done, might be standing in a parking lot saying, I thought this business was open. It says on the Google Business Profile it's open and it's closed, or they've moved, or it's not the place I thought it was. So your Google Business Profile is free to complete, but you have to go on Google and create the profile. I would recommend adding images. Add your products with images, keywords in your summary, 750 characters, and then solicit reviews. And the reviews are powerful because you might look at two different donut shops and see that one has 300 reviews and one has 15 reviews. The one with 300 reviews, even if some of them are terrible, will be served up higher in search results than the one with 15 because Google's algorithm goes, this business is very busy. There's a lot of activity around this, must be important. It raises it higher. The other thing that you can see when you search for your business or create the profile is people also search for at the bottom of Google Business Profile. So you could take one of your competitors, go to their Google Business Profile and see people also search for at the bottom, and it will show you, even on a map, what Google thinks is your competition. And you may or may not agree with this. But in any case, this is what Google thinks, and this is what other people think. And so you may want to have a look at that and sort of keep an eye on what the other businesses you go head to head with are and what they're doing and how you can kind of go one better or further define your marketing for your business based on what you can see. You can do a lot of competitive intelligence just looking at that. Facebook, world's largest digital storefront. Now, the challenge with Facebook these days, in my opinion, is it's starting to be so heavy with advertising and other junk. It's not an enjoyable read. It used to be kind of fun to scroll through Facebook. It really isn't anymore. However, it is so optimized for search. You really need to have your business there. So create a profile for your business. I don't necessarily think you have to publish a lot on that. You just have to exist so people can find you. And depending on your business, you may find it's not a good fit, but just having a presence there is important. Instagram, similar, but I find with Instagram, it's so highly visual that if you have photos or videos, that's really important, and use correct hashtags. So if you're publishing photos because you sponsored a 10K race in your neighborhood and you're publishing photos of that, make sure the hashtags reflect what it is. So the hashtag is, 2025 turkey trot in Oak Park or wherever you are. And Instagram will then, it helps it index the information so that anyone searching for turkey trot, Oak Park, or 10K race near me will see your content in addition to all your branded content. X, I think it's really more of a regional, national, or international platform. And so if you're doing work that's really broad in nature or advocating one way or the other, I would recommend looking at that. But I would say if you're really a super local business, this is not the place I would begin my marketing. TikTok, I say maybe. It's for younger people, really, in terms of kind of its attraction point. So, certainly, people are on TikTok across all the age ranges, but younger people tend to really watch the video. So, knowing your audience demographics and your avatars of your different types of audience or stakeholder or customer will help you map where to place emphasis in terms of your social channel marketing. LinkedIn, I think that's a great place to do a few things. You can present your brand, you can showcase the leadership of your brand and your team if you have staff. It's a highly decision focused audience. It's people who are mostly at work, who are frequently trying to understand something professional in nature or be provided with information that helps them do their work better. And so I think LinkedIn's a great place to present brands, businesses, and even in a surprising way. Even, online tax preparation would be a great place to market on LinkedIn because people there are probably thinking about, okay, their earnings, their income, I need a helpful resource. And they may really feel a connection to what you're presenting if it's highly specific and meets their needs. Next door is interesting. Hyper local by neighborhood, possibly important for your business, depending on the work that you're doing. If you do work that's extremely local in nature, but if you have a business where people have to bring equipment for service to um, a place where they can trust who's going to help them, next door would be a great place to develop more awareness of the business, also get advocacy. So if you're the kind of business like a donut shop where people feel real affinity for it, they might talk about it on Nextdoor if you're having a fundraiser or a special sale or special flavors or unique opportunities. So I recommend that for very, very local business marketing. Something new, Reddit. It's not new, but Reddit has gained a lot of steam recently because Reddit communities are very specific, very focused. And the interesting thing about Reddit communities, Reddit has sort of a code of Reddit behavior, and their number one tenet is keep it human, which I love, which is the idea that you're humans. You might be typing into your computer to share some information, but it's human to human. And so on Reddit, you'll find a lot of opportunities to comment on things that might relate to your business. You might be surprised. There might be Donuts in America community, and you may have a place to present your donut shop as a resource for that group or comment on the making of donuts or the quality of donuts. Um, Reddit, I encourage people to look at Reddit and consider it because I think it's a really nice place to present information or share information or gain information that might help your business and your marketing. Any comments, questions? Still good?
Still good?
Okay. Other tools. These are very defined marketing tools that could be very helpful to you as you build your business. Number one, press releases. Press releases ideally get published through a wire service, and then you hand pitch them to websites or journalists or other agencies that would care about your information. And press releases published through a wire service are nice because they give you a lot of backlinks and connections to the websites that append the press release to their website. So it starts to create some wonderful networks for your business online. Having an SEO and an AEO strategy, that's search engine optimization and answer engine optimization strategy. You really need both. We talked a little bit about this, but you're going to need it for the online tax prep service. You're going to need it for the local car garage. You're going to need it for the donut shop. People are searching for information, and one of the words we use a lot with consumers, whether you're B2B or B2C, is intent. And people who search have what we call behaviorally intent. And that means once they search, they take action. If I search for movie theaters near me, I will choose which one I'm going to go watch a movie at if I'm going to the movies. So we really want to have our information strategy set up so our business shows up in search results. Print and digital ad opportunities. You've got to test this one. Print is not dead. Digital is alive and well. They're both important. If you have a little bit of budget, consider advertising in your local newspaper or in your community's park district brochure or in your house of worship newsletter. There's lots of places where advertising is inexpensive and reaches a very defined market that can be great for business. And associating in those places, whether it's print or digital, can be fantastic and money well spent. And you've got to test it to see what works best for your business. Email marketing and e-newsletters are inexpensive and they're not just cost effective, they're pretty good for the environment. They don't take up much space. Some people find them annoying, but mostly based on your open rate. If it's a high open rate, which means people are opening it and reading it, then you should continue this. And um, good email is informative and helpful, and e-newsletters too. So I recommend you consider those for your business depending on what you're trying to communicate. But these are really great tools for inexpensive and very focused marketing. Strategic partnerships. So depending on who you work with or the constellation of people you work with, think of peer professionals, other businesses, social pages, influencers. If you approach some of these people and say, how might we partner? How might we partner and further grow our business together? You may get a lot of magic out of that. And I recommend that as a really great low cost marketing tool that you can use to support your business. Engagement plans for staff, customers, and community members. When people comment on your social media content, when they offer you a review on Google or on a directory listing, this is engagement. And when you ask your staff to share information to their social media streams from your business page, that's engagement. And when you ask your customers to do the same or comment back, you're creating engagement. And engagement creates awareness because other people see that and get interested. So that a plan for engaging the different kinds of people you do business with is going to be really helpful for your marketing. Um, Create collateral that feels like a gift. And what I mean by that is really good looking material. So if you've ever gone somewhere and someone gives you their business card and then they scratch out someone's name and they say, I've been working here 6 months, but they haven't gotten me business cards yet. That's not so great. I mean, it'll do in the pinch, but it's not so great. If you've ever received a brochure where somebody goes, all this information is correct, but on the back panel it's not correct, time to make a new brochure. So I recommend that any collateral you make for your business, whether it's flyers, which we call one sheets, business cards, brochures, promotional items, not just that they're accurate, but it should feel like a gift so that even when you give a business card to someone, you're glad that you did and they're glad to receive it, no matter what. Use good paper, use clear print processes, have a printer standing by to help you make sure things look great to the extent that you can. When it's fantastic, you're going to enjoy offering it to people and they're going to enjoy receiving it. And I think that's a big piece of the work I do with my clients and something that I think businesses sometimes forget about, and it's really important. Any questions? Or are we still good?
Um, we are still good, but I actually had a question, just
Sure.
personally wondering,
Yeah,
because I get this question sometimes.
sure.
In terms of email marketing and e-newsletters and
Uh-huh.
open rates, what typically is considered a good open rate?
I think it's a little bit variable because it kind of depends on what happens after people open it. So if 10% of the people you send an e-newsletter to open it and they all call you to schedule an appointment, it's great. If 50% do, even better. So I would say it's a little different than when we used to do direct mail solely and we'd say a 3% open rate was good. Like if you sent a mailing to everyone in 10 zip codes and 3% of the people opened it and then did something, you considered that really good. And it is. In an email world, it's different. I think my clients are all getting open rates of probably 40 to 60%. So they're sending information that their recipients value and they're looking at it. So I would say you kind of have to play a little bit and see what works. Is shorter better or longer better? What writing style is better? How many links? How frequently are the links? You have to kind of play with that. So I don't think there's a magic number as much as to say, is it working for your business or your enterprise?
Okay, perfect. That makes sense. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Uh,
We did also have another question come in
uh-huh.
about press releases of
Sure.
like what is a good example of a wire service for those
So,
press releases?
yeah, so there's a lot of wire services, and you want a trustworthy one. I use PR Newswire, which is international, and you join it, you pay an annual fee. And once you pay the fee, you have the right to issue press releases through their wire service. And there's a fee for everything, but it's all online, so you can choose very specific news wires like all of Illinois, all the journalists in Illinois, or Midwest, or just New York State, or all of the United States, or England, and you target those entities, but it's you still pick up other entities when you issue to the wire services list. And so there's a lot of wire services you can see, and I would recommend you look and see which one is right for you. Um, it's a little bit like shopping for airlines or anything. You have to kind of find the right fit, what you can afford, what your budget can afford. I've used PR Newswire for a long time, and I don't earn anything to say this to you tonight. It's just it's been a good resource, and they work well, and it's an efficient platform. Other questions?
Perfect. Those were the only questions right now.
Okay, we'll talk for a few more minutes, then we can do a couple questions at the end. Origin stories. So the origin story is a fascinating thing. It seems like it's not important, but it is, because what it does is it helps a consumer or a stakeholder get to know you or your company in a way that feels personal and can get emotional. And the example I often use is like if I said to you, if I said to this group, type in the chat what you know about Steve Jobs, and you don't have to do this, but if I said that, people would say, he tinkered in his garage. He started the first Apple computer. He founded the company. He was really smart. He was an unusual person. He wore black turtlenecks. So we'd say all kinds of stuff. And it would be almost like we all knew him, even though we didn't. And if we talk about Apple, we talk about, the first Apple computers, the first iPhone, the first whatever. We all talk about it with such a familiarity because the origin story has been told and retold and told and retold that people just kind of know it. We kind of know the secret. The Coca-Cola has a secret recipe, and we know all about that. And it was served in pharmacies before it became a recreational like soft drink. Um, you should try writing an origin story for your business. And the purpose of that is to tell your current customers, prospective customers, peer professionals, who you are. And that will help you define yourself versus the others. So for online tax prep, how are you different from the other online tax preps? What makes you different? What makes you special? What are the areas of service that you offer that maybe somebody else doesn't? And that's a great way to define yourself in a competitive environment. Keyword awareness. So it's really helpful to know, and you can go on Google Trends and you can go on lots of other platforms to see what are the words or the search terms that are trending in the area or the space that I'm presently working in? So if you're a donut shop, you're going to want to know what are people looking for in donuts? What are they looking for in breakfast foods? Is there such a thing as a dinner donut? And like look for the keywords and find all of those, and then make sure those keywords are well used in your website and your social media and elsewhere. And it might also lead you to kind of understand better consumer intention and behavior. You might even use it to kind of do some product development or innovating around the space that you're working in if you keep an eye on keywords. List of competitors. So you, with anyone else that you're working with, have a short list of the competitors that you go up against. To whom are you, like, with whom are you competing? And do you feel like you're losing business to anyone? Or if not, how are you winning business against them? But knowing your competitors and seeing how they are online is really valuable because then you can kind of have a better sense of the space that you're operating in, and constantly think about what you need to do to continue to redefine the space that you're operating in. Because I believe, for the most part, there's plenty of business to go around in most industries, whether you're a diamond salesperson, a realtor, um, a personal trainer or whatever it is, there's plenty of business, but you need to define your business enough that the right fit customers and clients find you and come to you and engage with you. I would also suggest that you make a list of admired organizations. Look closely in the neighborhood and look nationwide and across channels. See what it is that you admire about them and then emulate them or borrow from them the qualities that you find so valuable, whether it's their use of color or imagery or the way they write, their narrative voice, their personality, or the way they present information or products. Um, when you have these kinds of lists close at hand, you can define your business better. And finally, I would say for all business owners, especially small and emerging business owners, be prepared to pivot, expect the unexpected, and iterate, modify, bend, and flex. And what I mean by that is you never know what's going to happen next. And as much as there's change ahead, there also is opportunity. And so you've got to be watching for that and possibly adjust your business to meet those needs. And I think if you did any of these tactics coming out of this session today, you'll be pretty busy for a while. Um, but that's a good thing because you're marketing and that's really valuable. And so I want to kind of probably close, we just have space for notes and new ideas, questions, opportunities you want to share. We can look for a minute at my business's website if that's useful to you. Um, any comments, questions?
So at this time, there's nothing in the chat, but please feel
Okay.
free to put any questions that you have into the chat.
Okay.
But yeah, in the meantime, if you would want
Sure.
to show just
Sure.
an example of what a
Yeah.
WordPress website would look like, I
Yeah.
think that would be helpful
Yeah. And
too.
I don't think you could even really tell that it is so much as this is my business's website. And it was designed with a designer that I happen to like working with. And you can't see the backside, the WordPress template that it's on or the coding or anything like that. But it's custom to my business and it works for my business. Um, you know, every business is different, but I think that WordPress has many templates and they're really well optimized for search. And are you able to see what I'm showing? I think so.
Yes, yes, we can.
Okay. So you can see, different menu items. I tried to keep it super simple because I'd rather talk with prospective clients what they need more than show everything on the website. But I broke out the areas of creative that I work in so people can sort of get an idea of that. But I think you get the idea. You're welcome to visit this website if it's helpful to you, but I really think any good designer will help you build a website that meets your needs. And I feel like we've shared a lot here, and I don't want to overwhelm folks because I know it's quite a bit.